Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Jim Rohn. Picture this. You are standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you lies safety, predictability, and comfort. Ahead is the unknown, a world of possibilities, challenges, and risks. Your heart races. Your mind whispers, "Stay where you are, don't leap." But somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice stirs. It reminds you of your dreams, your potential, your purpose. It tells you that growth lives beyond fear, and that your true life begins only when you embrace change. Let me tell you a story that might feel like your own. There was a young man named Alex. On the surface, his life seemed comfortable, almost enviable. He had a steady job with a predictable paycheck, a routine that required little effort to maintain, and a circle of friends who made him feel safe and understood. To anyone looking from the outside, Alex had it all: stability, security, and a life that, by all conventional measures, was successful. Yet beneath the surface, Alex carried a quiet restlessness, a low hum that never seemed to fade. It was not loud, not dramatic, but persistent. It whispered to him during his commute, lingered in his mind as he sipped coffee alone in the mornings, and tugged at him during those quiet Sunday evenings. The feeling was unmistakable. Life had more to offer than the predictable routine he had settled into. Deep down, Alex felt a pull toward something greater, something meaningful. He wanted to start his own business, to create, to innovate, to leave a mark on the world. But he had never taken that step. Why not? Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of leaving the safety of what he already knew. Fear that he might leap and miss, tumble into the unknown, and lose everything he had worked so hard to maintain. The comfort he clung to was familiar, like an old, worn blanket, safe, warm, and suffocating all at once. For years he let that fear hold him back, convincing himself that tomorrow would be the day he would act. "I'll start next month," he told himself. "I'll make the change when the timing feels right." But deep down, he knew that if he waited for perfect timing, he would be waiting forever. Then one morning, everything changed. The company he had worked at for years announced massive layoffs. Alex's job was gone. His routine, his stability, the comfort he had relied on, vanished overnight. Suddenly, the world he had thought was secure was no longer so. Panic set in. The fear he had long avoided came rushing in, and for a moment Alex felt paralyzed, lost, and unsure of what to do. But in the midst of that chaos, something remarkable happened. Alex realized that the cliff he had feared for years, the leap into uncertainty and growth, was no longer a distant thought. It had arrived. The future was no longer something he could delay or ignore. If he wanted a life that mattered, if he wanted to create meaning, he had no choice but to act. With trembling hands and a racing heart, Alex took the first step. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it was real. He began exploring ideas, researching his dream business, talking to mentors, and taking risks he had never dared before. The path was rocky. He stumbled frequently, doubted himself endlessly, and faced failures that shook his confidence. But with every setback, he learned resilience. Every mistake became a lesson. Every fear faced became a source of strength. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the pieces began to fall into place. Small wins built momentum. Connections he made along the way opened doors he hadn't imagined. Opportunities arose from the very uncertainty he had once feared. And over time, Alex began to create a life far beyond what he had once thought possible. A life shaped not by fear but by courage, persistence, and the willingness to embrace change. Alex's story is not unique. Every person who has achieved greatness has faced their own cliff, their own moment of uncertainty, where the familiar ends and the unknown begins. Every story of transformation starts with that first courageous step into fear, into risk, into change. And it is in that step, taken despite doubt, despite hesitation, that ordinary lives are transformed into extraordinary ones. Why do we resist change so fiercely? Why does the familiar, no matter how small or limiting, feel safer than the promise of growth? These are questions that touch every human being. Change is not just a decision. It is a challenge to the very way our brains are wired, to the habits we have formed over years, even decades. Our minds are designed to seek comfort, avoid risk, and cling to what we know. Evolutionarily, this instinct kept humans alive. In the wild, stepping into the unknown could mean danger, hunger, or death. Today, while the threats are different, the same instinct remains. The familiar feels safe, even if it confines us, while the unknown feels terrifying, even if it holds the key to a better life. Change is uncomfortable. It disrupts routines, challenges patterns, and shakes the foundations of what we believe about ourselves and the world around us. It forces us to leave behind habits that have become second nature, beliefs we have held for years, and even identities we have built our lives around. Imagine a person who has always defined themselves by a specific job, relationship, or routine. To step into change means to risk losing that identity. It is to confront uncertainty, to walk into territory where mistakes are possible, where failure may come, and where judgment, internal or external, may loom. Yet comfort can be a prison. The routines that feel safe, the habits that feel natural, are often the very things that hold us back from reaching our potential. The longer we stay within the boundaries of the familiar, the smaller our dreams feel, and the more limited our lives become. Comfort can lull us into a false sense of security, convincing us that we are enough, even when we are capable of so much more. The reality is that growth, transformation, and extraordinary achievement cannot exist in comfort. True life, the kind that fills you with purpose, energy, and excitement, waits on the other side of discomfort. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. In darkness, it is safe, hidden, and unchanging. If it remains there, it will never fulfill its potential. But to grow, it must push through the darkness, crack open its shell, and fight its way toward the sunlight. The journey is not easy. The soil resists, rocks get in the way, and storms may batter it from above. Yet the struggle is necessary. Without effort, without friction, without risk, growth is impossible. And the same is true for human lives. To embrace change is to push through fear, doubt, and resistance. It is to step into the unknown and trust that the light you seek lies ahead. Fear of change is also magnified by uncertainty. Humans crave predictability, yet life rarely offers guarantees. When we contemplate change, we often imagine worst-case scenarios, the what-ifs that paralyze action before it even begins. But this fear, though powerful, is a signal, not an obstacle. It signals that we are on the edge of growth, that something important is about to begin. Those who learn to interpret fear as a sign of opportunity, rather than a reason to retreat, are the ones who achieve the extraordinary. Finally, change challenges identity. The habits, beliefs, and routines we hold form a version of ourselves we recognize. Change asks us to evolve beyond that version, to become someone new. And this can be frightening because it requires leaving behind not just comfort, but familiarity with who we think we are. Yet it is only by stepping outside of this old version of ourselves that we can access the person we are capable of becoming. The person capable of creating, achieving, and living fully. Understanding why change feels hard is the first step toward embracing it. When you recognize that fear, discomfort, and resistance are natural, you no longer fight them. They become tools, guides, and signals pointing toward growth. Just as the seed must push through darkness to reach the sunlight, you must confront discomfort to reach your potential. And the moment you take that step, when fear meets action, transformation begins. The way we perceive change shapes everything about our experience with it. Change is not inherently good or bad. It is neutral. What determines whether it becomes a source of fear or a catalyst for growth is our mindset. When we see change as a threat, fear dominates. Our hearts race, our minds create worst-case scenarios, and our bodies respond as if danger is imminent. We resist, procrastinate, and cling to the familiar. In this state, change feels like an enemy, something to avoid at all costs. And when we avoid it, life remains stagnant, dreams fade, and potential goes unrealized. But when we see change as an opportunity, the entire experience transforms. Suddenly, what was once intimidating becomes exciting. What was once uncertain becomes a field of possibility. The unknown no longer feels like a threat, but a canvas waiting for creation. Growth becomes not just possible, it becomes inevitable. This shift in mindset is powerful because it turns fear into motivation, uncertainty into curiosity, and challenge into opportunity. It is the difference between someone who remains stuck in mediocrity and someone who achieves extraordinary results. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors of all time. Before he successfully created the incandescent light bulb, Edison faced thousands of failed experiments. Many would have seen these failures as proof of inadequacy or a reason to quit. But Edison saw something different. Each failure was not a defeat. It was feedback, data, and a step closer to success. He reframed setbacks as learning opportunities, embraced the uncertainty of experimentation, and refused to let fear dictate his path. Edison's mindset allowed him to persist when others would have given up, ultimately leading to one of the most transformative inventions in human history. Edison's example teaches us that change is not something to resist. It is something to understand, harness, and even welcome. Every obstacle, every unfamiliar situation, every moment that forces you to step beyond your comfort zone is a chance to learn, to innovate, and to grow stronger. The mindset of embracing change is not passive, it is active. It requires conscious effort to see opportunity where others see threat, to search for lessons where others see failure, and to trust the process when the outcome is uncertain. Your own life is full of light bulb moments waiting to happen, but they will only manifest if you adopt this mindset. Every great achievement begins with a willingness to see change not as a disruption, but as a doorway. A new job, a shift in relationships, a bold career move, a personal challenge. All are invitations to step into a higher version of yourself. If you can learn to view these moments as opportunities rather than obstacles, your life will open up in ways you cannot yet imagine. Embracing change also requires courage and self-belief. It asks you to trust in your ability to navigate uncertainty, to make decisions even when the path is unclear, and to take action even when fear is present. It means accepting that mistakes will happen, setbacks will occur, and discomfort will be inevitable. But none of these are signs to retreat. They are signs that you are alive, stretching, and moving toward growth. Change is not an obstacle. It is a doorway. It is not something to fear, but something to pursue. It is an invitation to stretch, expand, and become more than you were yesterday. Every moment of discomfort, every challenge, and every leap into the unknown is a step toward your fullest potential. When you embrace change with the right mindset, you stop surviving and start thriving. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. And in that mindset, the impossible slowly becomes possible. And the life you imagine becomes the life you live. The stories of those who have embraced change remind us that growth often comes disguised as challenge, failure, or uncertainty. Change is never comfortable, but it is almost always transformative. Consider Oprah Winfrey, whose journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Early in her career, Oprah faced one of the harshest realities of life. She was fired from her first television job. To many, this would have been a crushing blow, a signal to retreat and settle for what was safe and predictable. But Oprah saw something different. She embraced the change forced upon her, using it as a catalyst for reinvention. She refined her skills, pursued new opportunities, and gradually created a platform that not only showcased her talent, but also inspired millions around the world. Today, Oprah is one of the most influential figures on the planet, not because she avoided failure, but because she saw each setback as a stepping stone to greatness. Her story teaches us that embracing change, rather than resisting it, can turn even the most painful experiences into platforms for unprecedented success. Another striking example is Steve Jobs, the visionary founder of Apple. Jobs experienced one of the most public and personal forms of change possible. He was ousted from the very company he had created. For many, such a moment would signify the end of a dream. It would have been easy to surrender to disappointment, to cling to the security of a conventional path, or to resign to failure. But Jobs did the opposite. He embraced the upheaval as an opportunity to grow, to innovate, and to challenge himself in new ways. He launched ventures like Next and Pixar, learning invaluable lessons and refining his vision for technology, design, and business. When he returned to Apple, he didn't just reclaim a company. He transformed it into a global giant, creating revolutionary products that changed the world. Jobs' story illustrates a fundamental truth. Change is not the enemy of success. It is the gateway to it. Those who embrace it with courage and vision often emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. Then there is J.K. Rowling, whose journey demonstrates that change often comes wrapped in hardship. Before becoming a household name, Rowling faced extreme poverty, personal struggles, and repeated rejection from publishers. The familiar world of stability was non-existent for her. Every step forward required confronting uncertainty and risking failure. Yet she refused to allow these obstacles to define her destiny. She embraced the challenge of change, continued writing, refined her story, and eventually brought the Harry Potter universe to life. Today, her work has not only created a multi-billion-dollar franchise, but also touched the lives of millions, inspiring generations to dream bigger. Rowling's journey reminds us that perseverance in the face of change, especially when it seems daunting or unfair, can lead to unimaginable success and impact. The lesson across these stories is strikingly clear. Change is not something to fear. It is the path to greatness. Every setback, every forced shift, every uncomfortable moment is an invitation to grow, to reinvent, and to reach levels of achievement that might otherwise have remained out of reach. Oprah, Jobs, and Rowling did not avoid the challenges that life presented. They confronted them, adapted, and embraced the unknown. Their willingness to step into uncertainty allowed them to unlock potential that would have remained dormant had they stayed in comfort. In our own lives, Change may not come with the fanfare of a public career or a global audience, but its lessons are just as profound. Each career pivot, personal challenge, or unexpected twist is a chance to grow, to learn, and to create a life that is richer, fuller, and more aligned with our purpose. The path of change may be uncomfortable, but it is also the path to transformation, and the truth is universal. Those who embrace change rather than resist it are the ones who achieve greatness, inspire others, and leave a lasting mark on the world. Embracing change is not a passive process. It is not something that simply happens to us. It is something we must actively pursue. Change requires action, courage, and deliberate effort. It demands that we confront fear, uncertainty, and discomfort head-on. The good news is that the process can be broken down into steps, practical, intentional steps that anyone can take starting today. Each step builds momentum, strengthens resilience, and makes the next leap less daunting. The first step is to acknowledge the need for change. This may sound simple, but it is often the hardest part. Many of us live in denial, telling ourselves that things are fine or that it's not the right time. We convince ourselves that what got us here, our habits, routines, and comfort zones, will somehow take us to the next level. But the truth is that growth requires evolution. What has sustained you up to this point may no longer be enough to carry you toward your dreams. Recognizing this is not a sign of weakness. It is a mark of courage. It is the moment when you open your eyes to possibility and take ownership of your life. The second step is to face your fears head-on. Fear is a natural response to change. It is your mind warning you of uncertainty, signaling that growth lies ahead. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to confront it with awareness. Write down what scares you. Speak it aloud. Examine it. When fear is exposed to consciousness, it loses its power over you. For example, someone considering a career change may fear financial instability or rejection. By acknowledging these fears, planning for them, and taking controlled action, the fear transforms from a paralyzing force into a guide. It shows you exactly where your courage is needed. The third step is to take small, deliberate steps. Change rarely occurs overnight. You do not need to leap the entire canyon at once. The most successful people embrace incremental progress. One small step leads to another, creating momentum that compounds over time. Each action, no matter how minor, is a declaration that you are moving forward. Writing the first page of a book, making the first business call, or learning a new skill may feel insignificant in isolation. But over time, these steps accumulate into transformative change. The fourth step is to learn from every setback. Change is rarely linear. Along the path, obstacles will arise, mistakes will be made, and failure will test your resolve. But each failure is not a dead end, it is feedback. Thomas Edison famously reframed his thousands of failed experiments, not as mistakes, but as lessons in what did not work. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient. By treating setbacks as teachers rather than punishments, you maintain momentum, sharpen your skills, and increase your capacity to handle future challenges. Finally, the fifth step is to celebrate progress. Human motivation thrives on acknowledgement. Even small wins deserve recognition because they reinforce your commitment and build confidence. Celebrating progress reminds you that change is not an abstract concept. It is a tangible journey marked by achievements, however incremental. Acknowledge the courage it took to make the first phone call, send the first email, or step outside your comfort zone. Each small victory strengthens your belief in your ability to navigate the larger leaps ahead. Change is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Each act of courage, each deliberate step, each lesson learned from setbacks builds your capacity for growth. The more you practice embracing change, the less intimidating it becomes. And the stronger you become, the more extraordinary your life can be. Ultimately, these steps are not just strategies, they are a mindset. They require persistence, patience, and self-compassion. They ask you to trust the process, to embrace discomfort, and to remain committed even when progress seems slow. Change is not easy, but it is possible, and it is essential for a life of purpose, growth, and fulfillment. By acknowledging the need for change, confronting your fears, taking small steps, learning from setbacks, and celebrating progress, you create a pathway from where you are now to where you want to be. Every action, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you imagine. And every time you embrace change, you reinforce a powerful truth. Your potential is not fixed. Your dreams are not limited. And your life is waiting to be transformed. When we set out to embrace change, the path is rarely smooth. Obstacles emerge in every shape and form, some visible, some hidden within our own minds. Fear, doubt, and uncertainty often stand as the most formidable barriers, convincing us that it is safer to stay in the familiar. Yet every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. The key is learning to recognize these challenges, face them, and use them as stepping stones toward growth. One of the most common obstacles is the fear of failure. This fear can paralyze even the most ambitious people. We hesitate to pursue a new career, start a business, or take a personal risk because we imagine ourselves falling, making mistakes, or being judged harshly. But here's the truth. Failure is not a verdict. It is a teacher. Thomas Edison, when inventing the light bulb, famously remarked that he had not failed but found thousands of ways that did not work. Each failure brought him closer to success. When we shift our perspective, we begin to see failure not as a threat, but as feedback, a necessary part of the process. Every mistake provides insight, builds resilience, and strengthens our ability to adapt. Fear of failure only controls us if we let it. Courage is born the moment we choose to act despite it. Another obstacle is the fear of judgment. Human beings are inherently social, and we often place immense weight on what others think of us. We imagine disapproval from friends, family, or colleagues, and we allow this imagined scrutiny to limit our choices. Yet living in the shadow of others' expectations is a surefire way to remain stagnant. Every successful person, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, J.K. Rowling, faced criticism, skepticism, and doubt from others. What set them apart was the ability to prioritize their own vision over external approval. The more you focus on your purpose, the less power judgment holds over your actions. Embracing change requires the courage to define your own standards, trust your instincts, and move forward despite what others may think. The fear of the unknown is another powerful obstacle. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. It challenges our need for security and predictability. Most people cling to familiar routines, even if those routines limit growth, because the unknown feels risky and overwhelming. Yet the truth is that the unknown is where opportunity lives. Every breakthrough begins in unfamiliar territory. Consider J.K. Rowling, who faced extreme poverty and uncertainty while writing the first Harry Potter book. She had no guarantees, yet she persisted. The unknown became the canvas for her imagination, creativity, and ultimate success. The key is to approach uncertainty not with anxiety, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what can I learn? What opportunities might this open? How will this make me stronger? When uncertainty is seen as a doorway rather than a threat, it becomes a source of possibility rather than fear. Finally, there is the fear of leaving comfort. Comfort is deceptively seductive. It lulls us into complacency, convincing us that safety equals satisfaction. But comfort over time becomes a cage. It prevents us from pursuing dreams, exploring potential, and stepping into the life we are capable of living. Every person who has achieved greatness has faced the tension between comfort and growth. They stepped forward even when it was difficult, because they understood that true fulfillment lies beyond the familiar. The first step may be small, a phone call, a decision, a risk, but it signals commitment to growth. Each successive step becomes easier, as the habit of embracing change strengthens over time. Overcoming obstacles is not about eliminating fear or discomfort. It is about developing the skill to move forward in spite of them. It requires courage, persistence, and perspective. Fear signals that you are on the threshold of growth. Doubt reminds you to prepare and focus. Uncertainty calls for curiosity and adaptability. And leaving comfort asks for determination and self-trust. These obstacles are not walls to stop you. They are gateways to transformation. When you face these challenges head-on, something remarkable happens. You become stronger, more resilient, and more capable. You discover that obstacles are temporary, but the lessons you gain from navigating them are permanent. Step after step, challenge after challenge, you are reshaping not only your life, but also the person you are becoming. And the more obstacles you overcome, the more confident you become in your ability to handle the next one. The truth is simple. The road to growth will always be lined with obstacles. But every challenge is an invitation. Every fear, doubt, or uncertainty you face is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. The key is to act, to persist, and to see each obstacle not as a reason to retreat, but as a reason to rise. Embrace them, learn from them, and let them fuel the transformation that awaits on the other side. Embracing change is never easy, but the rewards it offers are profound and life-altering. Every time you step into the unknown, face your fears, and push beyond comfort, you open the door to growth, opportunity, and transformation. The process may feel uncomfortable, even frightening, but the results are extraordinary. Those who have dared to embrace change consistently report not just material success, but a deeper sense of fulfillment, purpose, and personal strength. One of the greatest rewards of embracing change is the growth of confidence and self-belief. Each time you confront fear, overcome doubt, or tackle a challenge, you prove to yourself that you are capable. The first step may be small, the next may feel daunting, but each successive leap builds an inner strength that becomes unshakable. Think of Alex, the young man who stepped into uncertainty to pursue his dream. At first, he questioned every move, every decision, and every risk. But as he persisted, he realized that the very discomfort he had feared was shaping him into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. Confidence, it turns out, is not given. It is earned through action and experience. Another remarkable reward is the expansion of opportunities. Change has a way of opening doors that would otherwise remain closed. By stepping out of the familiar, you expose yourself to new experiences, new people, and new possibilities. Opportunities rarely present themselves in the comfort zone. They live in the realm of uncertainty, risk, and action. J.K. Rowling's persistence through poverty and rejection is a perfect example. Each time she embraced change, continuing to write despite obstacles, submitting her work despite rejections, she unlocked opportunities that ultimately transformed her life. Change creates movement, and movement creates openings for progress and success. Embracing change also enhances resilience and adaptability. Life is unpredictable. Circumstances shift, challenges arise, and plans often go awry. Those who have practiced stepping into change become masters at navigating uncertainty. They learn to adjust their sails when the wind shifts, to persevere when obstacles appear, and to see setbacks as temporary rather than final. Steve Jobs, when forced out of Apple, did not crumble under adversity. Instead, he embraced the situation, innovated with new ventures, and returned stronger than before. Resilience developed through change allows you to face future challenges with courage and creativity, transforming fear into fuel for growth. Another profound reward is the deep sense of fulfillment that comes from living intentionally. Change forces you to align your actions with your purpose, to step into the life you truly want, rather than the life you have been handed. It allows you to break free from routines that limit potential and embrace choices that resonate with your values and aspirations. The comfort zone can feel safe, but it rarely feels meaningful. When you embrace change, every achievement, big or small, carries significance because it represents not just external success, but internal growth and authenticity. Moreover, embracing change often leads to inspiration for others. When you model courage, persistence, and transformation, you become a living example for those around you. Friends, colleagues, and even strangers observe your willingness to take risks, to innovate, and to grow. Your story can motivate them to confront their own fears and pursue their own dreams. Change then becomes not only personal, but a catalyst for collective inspiration, creating ripples that extend far beyond your own life. Finally, embracing change fosters creativity and innovation. When you challenge routines and step into uncertainty, your mind is forced to think differently, to solve problems, and to explore new possibilities. The human brain thrives on novelty and challenge. By seeking change, you open your mind to solutions, insights, and ideas that would never have emerged in the comfort zone. Every entrepreneur, inventor, and artist knows that transformation begins with risk. Without stepping into the unknown, creativity remains dormant. The rewards of embracing change are therefore multifaceted. Confidence, opportunity, resilience, fulfillment, inspiration, and creativity. They transform not only what you achieve, but who you become. The challenges you face, the fears you overcome, and the steps you take outside your comfort zone all accumulate into a life that is richer, fuller, and more meaningful than you ever imagined. The ultimate truth is this: the life you desire, the life you are capable of living, exists on the other side of change. Every obstacle, every fear, every moment of uncertainty is an invitation to step into growth, achievement, and transformation. The rewards are not guaranteed by comfort, by hesitation, or by staying the same. They are earned by those who dare to embrace the unknown. Take action and move forward with courage. Today, your cliff is in front of you. It might be a career change, a relationship shift, a personal goal, or a life dream you've buried. It might feel scary, uncertain, or overwhelming. But remember Jim Rohn's words: your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Step forward. Take the leap. Trust that growth lives on the other side of fear. Face challenges, embrace uncertainty, and keep moving. One step, one decision, one action at a time. Because the life you imagine, the life you deserve, is waiting. All it asks is that you embrace change and become the person you were meant to be. Change is the heartbeat of life. Fear is temporary. Growth is eternal. The cliff is not your enemy. It is your invitation. Step boldly, leap fearlessly, and watch as your life transforms beyond what you ever thought possible.